right, so excited. So before we went on our quarantine break and we kind of, had to stop doing school at school for a while, we were really deep in this super fun science unit where we were talking about different types of animals. And it was so cool. It's probably my favorite part about teaching is doing that unit. And usually there's like a really fun project that we do at the end, and it's super cool. And now it has to look a little bit differently, but that's totally okay. I finally figured out how to record these videos. So we're just going to keep going and we're going to pretend like nothing is different, even if I'm on a computer screen and you're watching me at home. So today what we're going to learn about is we're going to learn about insects, which I don't know how to say this, but I don't really like insects. In real life, insects kind of scare me. So if anybody on here is scared of insects, that is totally okay. We're just going to tough it out. We're going to put our brave faces on, and we are not going to be scared. We are going to be brave to look at these pictures of bugs. So here we go. Like I said, we are learning about different types or classifications of animals. And then I want to see who can remember the 6 different types. And I had to move over my screen because you could kind of see. Think really quick. What are the 6 different types that we have been talking about? We know we're going to talk about insects today. That's 1. What are the other 5 that we need? See if you can name them. Insects. I wonder. Here they are. So we have fish. And then here's a picture of some fish that we talked about. Some of the cool things that we learned about fish is that they lay many eggs. They're cold-blooded. They breathe using gills, right? They're just cool animals. They live underwater. We learned a little bit about a blue marlin and some mobula rays. We learned about those 2 super cool fish. These are some clownfish. These fish live in the ocean. Reptiles. I think reptiles are my favorite animal class. Look at his little face. Oh, don't you just want to smush him? I want to squeeze his little cheeks. Some of the things that we learned about reptiles is that they have dry and scaly skin. They're cold-blooded. Reptiles lay eggs too. I'm trying to think of some other things, but those are the only couple that are coming to mind right now. If you can think of some other things about reptiles, let me know. Amphibians. Ooh, okay, I take it back. Maybe amphibians are my favorite animal class. So amphibians have 2 lives. That's what amphibian means. It means they have 2 lives. They can breathe in water and they can breathe on land. Remember, amphibians are born into water with gills, and then slowly they have this metamorphosis where they get lungs and they can breathe on land. Amphibians lay many eggs. They're cold-blooded as well. Amphibians are really cool. They have to have moist skin because they breathe through their skin, which is pretty cool. It's like part of the way that they breathe is through their skin. So we learned about how they need to have moist skin or they'll die. And then this is a picture of a salamander. Oh, I got lost. There we go. Birds. Oh my goodness, birds are so cool. I don't know if we've talked about birds yet. I think this is the only other one that we haven't talked about. So I'm going to save some of the bird facts, but some of the things that because we haven't talked about it, it doesn't mean that we don't know things. We know that birds have 2 legs, right? We know that they have wings. They don't have arms, right? They have beaks. Birds are warm-blooded. So those are some of the things that we're going to learn about birds. And then here we go today with our insects. It looks like a beetle. I like how it looks kind of iridescent. Like you can tell the color's gonna change. Mammals. And then this is a picture of a mammal. Mammals have hair or fur. They're warm-blooded. They have live young, right? They nurse their live young with milk. Those are some of the cool things that we learned about mammals. So those are the 6 different animal classes that we've been learning about and that we've learned a little bit about. And then some of them we still kind of need to jump into. So insects today. We have a bunch of different facts. The first and most important thing, or not most important thing, but one of the things that we need to know is that insects have 3 body parts, 3 different body parts. Insects are born from eggs. Insects have many eggs too, like fish or amphibians. Insects have 6 legs, which is a lot of legs. They have 3 legs on one side, 3 legs on the other side, like this. And they have an exoskeleton. An exoskeleton. So all of these are kind of the most important things. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that means. What is an exoskeleton? You know, blah, 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 all that stuff right now. Oh, 3 body parts, born from eggs, 6 legs, exoskeleton. Sometimes I forget about that part. Okay, let's get started. Insects are invertebrates. Everybody say invertebrates. That's a huge word. This means that their skeletons are on the outside of the body. So an invertebrate skeleton is on the outside of their body. Ours is on the inside, right? We talked about that a little bit. Instead of inside, it is called an exoskeleton. So an exoskeleton is just that their skeleton is on the outside of their body, kind of like a shield or like armor. So this is a picture of a bug, and if you look really close, you can kind of see that it looks like they've got like an armor on or like a shell on. Like if you tapped this bug, it would not be soft and squishy like your arm. Like our arms are kind of squishy. This would be hard. You could probably like knock on it, you know? So that's its exoskeleton on the outside of its body. And then this is a funny picture I found. This is a knight. And you guys know that knights in shining armor, from the head all the way down to their toes, they've got a helmet, this really hard metal helmet, and they've got their breastplate, and they've got their arms, and they've got they're all covered in this armor, and they're really hard, and they make this like clunking noise when they walk. So he looks like he has on exoskeleton right now, and he's talking to this huge cockroach. He says, "Nice armor, friend." And the cockroach says, "Hiss." Because I don't know if you know this, but cockroaches, oh, gross, the grossest animal. They make this gross hissing noise. So this poor knight is trying to talk to him. So funny, I like that picture a lot. So he looks like he's kind of got an exoskeleton on, and then we can see the cockroach's exoskeleton. An insect's body is divided into 3 sections: the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. Here, I'll move my little head. And the abdomen. So everybody say head. Head. Point to your head. Now everybody say the thorax. Thorax. Thorax would be kind of like this upper part of your chest right here. And the abdomen. Everybody say abdomen. An abdomen would be like your belly. That's your abdomen. So here's a picture of the 3 different body parts that we see on insects. Here's his head right here, just on top. You guys can see the head pretty easy. I think the hardest thing to tell the difference of is the thorax and the abdomen. The thorax is kind of like the middle part of their body right here, and that is where all of their legs are attached to. They all are attached to this thorax. So you can see this leg here is attached, this leg here, this leg here. The abdomen is kind of like their behiney. That's like a good way to think about it. It's not really, but I mean, that's kind of what it looks like. The thorax is kind of like the middle, and the abdomen is like the lower half of their body. So head, thorax, and abdomen. Those are all insects have those 3 body parts. Let's keep going. They have 2 antennae and 6 legs, and they hatch from eggs. We kind of already knew that, right? Maybe we didn't know that they have their 2 antennae, but we did know they have 6 legs, and we do know that they hatch from eggs. Insects go through a different kind of life cycle. A life cycle. We're going to talk about what that means in a second. Some insects have a 3-stage life cycle, and some have a 4-stage life cycle. So a life cycle is basically just you're born, and then these are all the things that happen, and then someone else, another baby is born, and it's basically every living thing has a cycle that they go through, right? You're born, you grow up slowly, you become an adult, you get married, you have a baby, and then your baby is born, and then it happens all over again, over and over and over again. So insects just have a different life cycle than humans do. This says some insects have a 4-stage life cycle. The insect lives as an egg, larva, pupa, and an adult. So that's the 4-stage life cycle. Others have a 3-stage life cycle. The insect is born as an egg, hatches as a nymph, and changes into adult. So here's a picture of a 3-week life cycle. When I saw this picture, I thought of all you boys, you little stinker boys, who at the beginning of last summer were catching this bug right here, a grasshopper, and you were chasing me around with it. That's what I thought of when I saw this picture. So a grasshopper is a bug that has a 3-stage life cycle. Pretty cool. Looks like they are born as an egg over here. So they come out as an egg, right? And then they hatch. And when they hatch, after they come out of their egg, they just look like a baby grasshopper. That's called a nymph. It's basically just a baby grasshopper. Do you see how it looks a lot like this grasshopper here? They look a lot like the same. And then slowly what happens is it sheds its exoskeleton and it grows and it gets a little bit bigger, and then it gets a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger, and then pretty soon it's just an adult grasshopper. So it basically just kind of grows up, right? And then it turns into an adult, and then the adult lays eggs. Those eggs turn into a nymph. Those nymphs turn into adults, and then it starts all over again. It just keeps going and going in this cycle. So that's 3 stages. First stage, second stage, third stage. And then this is a 4-stage life cycle. So we're going to actually talk about this bug's life cycle on the next little slide. This is a butterfly's life cycle. It starts as an egg, turns into a larva, and then a larva means caterpillar. And then we know what happens. The caterpillar all of a sudden builds itself a little cocoon, and then something magical happens inside, and then they come out and they're a butterfly. So that's the 4-stage life cycle. And then after the butterfly comes out, it goes and it lays a bunch of eggs somewhere, and those eggs turn into caterpillars, and the caterpillars turn into a chrysalis or a pupa. Pretty cool. So this is the life cycle of a butterfly. Now I'm just going to give you more kind of details about it. Butterflies have a 4-stage life cycle. They first start off as eggs. Everybody say eggs. A butterfly lays her eggs on a leaf. When the caterpillars hatch, they will eat the eggshells. So the little eggs, after the eggs are laid, and the caterpillars come out, that's what they eat, which is pretty cool. So they all start as eggs somewhere. Then after those caterpillars lay their eggs, the eggs maybe stay on the leaf for a while, and pretty soon all of a sudden out hatches this caterpillar, right? Have you guys ever seen a caterpillar before? Like little creepy crawly caterpillars? The job of a caterpillar is to eat as much as they can. Oh my gosh, they just eat and eat and eat. Have you guys ever seen A Bug's Life? Like in A Bug's Life, do you guys know that big fat caterpillar from A Bug's Life? He's just this huge, oh my gosh, he's so funny. He's just this big fat caterpillar, and he's eating all the time, like all the time in the movie. So if you haven't seen that movie, you should watch it because it's true. Caterpillars grow really fast, up to 2 inches in the first few weeks. So if you look at your finger, do you guys see how we have these like little lines? This is well, yours might be a little smaller, but one of mine is about 1 inch. So if I had 2 of those, that's how big a caterpillar would grow in about 2 weeks. That is pretty big. If you think about just in a little bit of time, that caterpillar just kind of grows really, really fast. So the caterpillar comes out, and then all this caterpillar does is just eat and eat and eat and eat. Oh, I went too fast. Then what happens is after the caterpillar has gotten as big as it needs to get and is ready for its next stage of life, it attaches itself to a twig and transforms into a chrysalis to protect it while it turns into a butterfly. And this sometimes can take like 5 days, and sometimes it can take like 3 weeks, which is a long time. So the chrysalis is the pupa. That's when they get in their little cocoon and they like change in there and they turn into something else. It's kind of different from the grasshopper, right? The baby grasshopper was born and hatched and he just looked like a grasshopper, but the butterfly has to change into a butterfly from a caterpillar. So the last stage of life is when it transforms into a butterfly. When the butterfly hatches from its chrysalis, it's time to find a mate and lay its eggs. And then guess what happens? The life cycle just starts all over again. It just starts all over. They lay their eggs somewhere. The eggs hatch and another caterpillar comes. Then the caterpillar eats and eats and eats and eats and eats, and then it finally gets ready to go into its chrysalis, turns into a pupa here. And then after a while, after 5 days, 21 days, all of a sudden, this adult butterfly comes out. And then its wings unfold and it turns into this beautiful butterfly here. So cool. And then it just keeps going over and over and over again. Over and over again. I think it's so awesome that God created this butterfly to do this. It's just amazing how it can be born looking like this and then come out this. Crazy. And I even have some real pictures for you of kind of what they really look like. So this is a real, I know it's kind of fuzzy, you can't really see. This is what like a real butterfly egg looks like. They kind of look like little seeds to me. And then your butterfly comes out. Oh, that caterpillar is crazy looking. Hatches into this little tiny caterpillar, this little larva. Oh, and it eats and eats. And then this is what the pupa looks like, or the chrysalis. Whoa, so cool. And then the best part, the butterfly comes out and it looks totally different. So crazy that that's what they look like. Okay, let's keep going. All right, the only other thing that I really wanted to show you guys is some of the other just cool things about insects. We don't really think about how important they are or how amazing they are, but they are. They're so amazing. They're so cool. So I have some fun facts for you guys about insects. So if you want to think about these facts for your paper, you can totally do so. So one of the craziest things that I learned when I was making this is that insects don't have lungs. I don't know if you remember when Brooks's mom came to school and she talked to us a little bit about our lungs, and we did that really fun science day where we went to all the different stations and we got to breathe into those fake lungs, and we just kind of learned a little bit about what lungs do and how they help us breathe and how they have all these important things inside of them. Insects don't have lungs. So they breathe without lungs. Down here it says inside insects, basically there are just a lot of tubes and sacs like in their body all over. So air comes in through the sides of their abdomen, their little behind, remember? And those holes on the sides of their abdomens are called spiracles. So oxygen comes in through their spiracles and it just goes right into their body where it needs to go. Through this thing called the trachea. And that's what this is a picture of. This is a picture of some of those just like tubes inside the insects where all the air is just flowing all the time, which is wild. It's so cool that God thought to do that for this insect. Just pretty crazy. And another cool thing that I learned is that usually larvae are born with gills. And that's how they breathe before, maybe they turn into their full-grown adult. So cool. Another just fun fact is that insects have 2 antennas. Oh no. And then I found some cool pictures of antennas. So here's a little ant. You can see the ant's antennas up here at the top like this. And then look at this one. Oh, brother. Look at how big those antennas are. That is crazy. Okay, this is kind of a cool one. We live in North Dakota where there's a lot of mosquitoes. So I found a cool fact about a mosquito. Oh, this says the life cycle of a mosquito has 4 stages. So they're like butterflies: egg, larva, pupa, and adult. And then this is kind of crazy. Female mosquitoes drink blood. They drink people's blood to give like vitamins and nutrients, to get all the vitamins and nutrients they need to make eggs. That's why they drink blood, so that they can make eggs and they can have, their babies, which I still don't like when mosquitoes drink my blood, but that's kind of cool. And then here's a picture of a mosquito on somebody. I do not like mosquitoes. There's not really a lot of mosquitoes in California, so when I moved here, oofda. this is just kind of some cool stuff about why bugs are useful and then maybe why we don't really love bugs. So this says bugs are useful because they produce, which means make, honey. Bees make honey, right? Wax, silk, and other products. And they also pollinate flowers and crops. So we use a lot of things that bugs make for things in our life, right? Like our clothes are made out of things that bugs make. And they also help us to grow food, which is pretty cool. If we didn't have bugs, we wouldn't be able to grow food because they help to have food grow for us. But then it also says they are a problem to farmers because they destroy crops too. So they might help growing food, but sometimes there are bugs like locusts that go in and they just eat all of the crops, which totally destroys them. They also carry disease and are a major pest to animals and people. So there's some good things about bugs, and then bugs, maybe sometimes just cause more problems than they're worth. So those are some not so good things about bugs. Last fact. This is a spider. And this says spiders are not insects. I don't know if we talked about that, but they're not insects. They're a different type of animal, which is pretty cool. And they have totally different body types than insects, so they're not even close, not even the same. And I have to say, do not like spiders, even a little bit. But when I first saw this picture, I was like, oh, it's kind of cute. Look at its eyes. Kind of a cute little creature. And that is that. So hopefully you found an awesome fact that you can use when you write your reflection. Make sure that you get that paper and you write some cool fact. I also am going to put some cool YouTube videos in Google Classroom for you guys. So if you did not get any facts that you like from this video, maybe you can watch one of those and then use one of those facts. Also, I have a challenge for you, a super fun challenge. I think it would be really cool if you guys made an insect for me. Okay? So what I'm thinking is maybe in your house you can find something to build an insect. We know insects have a head, they have a thorax, and they have an abdomen. So maybe you could find something to put together to make an insect. Maybe if you have Legos, you could build an insect with Legos and make a head and make a thorax and an abdomen. Or maybe you could cut out a bunch of different pieces of paper and glue them together. Or maybe you could use just like little things around your house. Maybe you have cans like this and you could make a head out of, I don't know, paper, and then you can have a can for your thorax and then an egg carton for your abdomen. Be creative, make something cool, and then if you make an insect at your house, take a picture of it and post it in Google Classroom because I really do want to see it. Okay, that's it. I love you guys. Have a great day. Hope you had fun learning about insects. Talk to you later.